Welcome to High Strangeness, where we ask questions and explore all that is strange and unexpected in our reality.
Welcome to High Strangeness. I'm Tony, and this is the place where we talk about all things strange and unexpected in our reality. As we get closer to October, the big thing that happens in October is Halloween. And what can be more Halloween than getting a good scare? In many or most cities across the country, in October there are thrill seekers that stand in line wondering if tonight is the night that their heart is going to shoot out of their chest. There are all kinds of haunted attractions out there. Some are outdoors, some are in converted box-shaped buildings, and everything in between. But how many of them are in an old abandoned cement factory from the 1800s, a place that has seen its fair share of tragedy, injuries, and gruesome deaths? I would say probably none, except for right here in Salt Lake City, Utah, and it's called the Fear Factory. And that's why I'm excited today to have my guest, Rob Dunfield, who's going to tell us who he is and how he's connected to Fear Factory. How's it going, Rob? How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
Awesome. And how's the summer been going for you so far?
It's good. It's been hot, and things are really heating up at Fear Factory.
That's awesome. You guys are already underway. I think you mentioned before that you start right away preparing for the next year. Is that true?
It is. It's kind of a year-round process. As soon as one season ends, we've already started plans for the next season of what will change and what will make new and all kinds of fun stuff that we want to add. So every year is different.
Yeah, I bet. And you're always probably adjusting. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah. We used to say we'd try and change half of the haunted house every year, but we've scaled it back and gotten more detailed and just do maybe 2 or 3 sections of the haunted house because it's a big place.
Yeah. It's amazingly big. And we're going to talk about that because people, if you've not been there, you got to check it out. It's an amazing haunt and just an amazing facility altogether. So as we get started, for the benefit of our listeners, can you tell us a little bit about you and how you became associated with this very unique attraction and any partners or anybody that you work with as well? Can you tell us a little there?
Okay, yeah. So my name is Rob Dunfield, and I was born into haunting and all things Halloween. My dad, who's Bob Dunfield, was the chairman of the March of Dimes Haunted House from the late 70s up through almost the 1990s. And so I grew up from the time I could walk until I graduated high school. I was building haunted houses and dressing up and scaring and doing all kinds of fun stuff. So I learned at a very early age how to have fun. And then fast forward, my brother-in-law, Keith Sharp, wanted to get involved. He's in construction and he loved building neat things. And he saw some of the pictures and things of the old haunted houses that my dad and I worked at and built and spent lots of hours sweating and playing in. And he wanted to kind of do something. He loved Halloween. He always decorated his house really cool and had a Halloween theme that knocked everybody around the block out of the park. And so he came to us and kind of said, hey, what do you guys think about, he actually took my dad to see some of the local haunted houses at that time. He'd been retired for 10 or 12 years and my dad hadn't been in a haunted house since he retired. And they started exploring around and Keith convinced him that we should do a fun little haunted house again and do something. And so that was the beginning of the partnership between Keith, Bob, and myself, Rob. And from there, it was finding a location and finding somewhere. We had some of the best locations in the world for the March Dimes. The Old Mill Haunted House was one of the neatest places in the Salt Lake Valley, up by the mouth of Big Cottonwood Canyon. And so we started looking, and one of the first places that we came across was the old Portland cement factory was for sale or lease. And we looked into it. It had been abandoned for many years, and there had been a few places that had rented it for different projects and things, but nothing. It was pretty vacant. And let's say there were a lot of people living there that weren't authorized to be living there at the time. And it was right there by the freeway and the railroad tracks. And it was kind of a scary place, just not even knowing much about it. So we looked into it, and we found it was even cooler and creepier than we ever imagined.
Yeah, I was going to say that's like, it feels like when you go there, even coming down the highway and you see it on the evenings when it's lit up, it's like that was meant to be what it is. And it's just amazing.
I love that. I love that. People know it as a landmark now. I mean, it's on different maps. You'll see it on different GPS systems and things as a landmark. And I have kids all the time. I'm known as the creepy building guy. That's what some of the neighborhood kids call me, is the creepy building guy. They drive by it and see it. They're like, oh, that's the creepy building. The guy that owns the creepy building lives by us. So it's
That's
kind of
awesome.
funny. Everybody recognizes it.
Well, and since haunting is your business, there's no greater compliment than the creepy building guy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Ironically, another thing that a lot of people don't know, we have the number 666 up on the building, but that's actually our address, 666 West. And we're between 800 South and 900 South, that whole city block. So a lot of people see the number and think, oh, wow, that's weird. But we think it lends pretty well to our attraction as well, the address.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, 666. My gosh. I always wondered. I saw that and I thought, is that really the address? And so it is.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah, yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I often thought as I went by the building before, I would say, who does this? Like, who acquires a huge building like this and turns it into probably the best attraction, not only in Utah, but anywhere? And that's why when I thought for this time of year to do this interview, I had to try to reach out to you guys. So thank you for spending some time and sharing about this amazing event or attraction that I think people can go to and will love.
Absolutely. We're
Now,
excited about it, and we love sharing it. It's a fun place.
one of the things I'm curious about is a lot of people wonder, like, who does this? I think sometimes people think you have to come from Hollywood or something to put the quality of work that you guys have created in there. And so I think people would be interested to know what your backgrounds are. So you and your partners, you mentioned that one of them has a background in construction. So
Mhm.
are the rest of your backgrounds, does it lend to this work? Like, do you do other things that actually this is like an actual extension for you? Or do you come from like accounting and this is just something you do for fun on the side?
Well, my background is in exercise and sports science. I actually own a fitness center and have a background in exercise physiology, and that's kind of my education and schooling. And Halloween has just always been a big part of my passion and love. And like I said, learning from my dad and building haunted houses from a very young age. It's just always been a part of our family, kind of. Um, and my dad, he has been an interior decorator most of his entire career. He's decorated mostly homes, businesses, and all types of everything in between. And I think the three of us, we've done a lot of projects together. We've worked together and other things. We've teamed up to do home remodels and flipping homes for several years. We did that together. And when the economy turned south and the flipping homes was not such a good time for it, that was when we kind of, Keith came up with this idea of maybe we should do a haunted house. And while we're waiting for the economy to change again, let's do something else. So we've always been pretty ingenuitive and creative. And I think between the three of us, nothing we've ever put our minds to has ever stopped us or slowed us down. So I think we thought this would be just a fun new project. And at the very beginning, at least in my mind, it was not to be this gigantic 6 buildings and 2 underground passageways and 3 acres of outside space. And I was thinking a much smaller thing with just the three of us kind of starting it out. And we bit off a big bite to chew, and we quickly learned that we needed to build a team that could help with this. There was such a massive scale and such a big project it's truly become a team effort. We have some of the best employees and workers. We've had some people that have been there since the very beginning that are still with us today. And since then, we've grown a lot. Every year we have obviously new actors and new performers and things that join the crew. And we have grown from maybe 60 or 70 people the first year to now we have probably 300 or 400 every year on staff during the season. And they rotate nights and shifts and things, but it's changed, and it's quite a production of actors. Every night there's about 100 actors in the show, and then another supporting staff of about 30 to 40 people. And it's just continued to grow each year as we remodel and re-envision things. It becomes more and more fun every year. The best part is watching the smiles and the screams as people are leaving and just laughing and having the best time of their life. That's why we do it. It's just a lot of fun to make people have a great time.
That is great. Yeah, I mean, what can be better than this space where it's fun, enjoyment, and just being excited to do it? Like, I could see people, this is a release for them as an employee. Like, they go, I do this crazy thing for a living. I'm going to come in and I'm going to work here and scare people or really make sure people have this wonderful experience. That is a nice outlet for employees as well. I think it's cool.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Yeah. And our actors and our range of people that work there is such a broad. We have dentists and accountants and construction workers and students, and I mean and mothers and all kinds. It's amazing to see how diverse and you're right. A lot of people, they may only work one night a week or something, but it's a great way for them to express themselves and have fun and get to be a part of what we call the Fear family. Our team we call it the Fear family because we have a lot of events that we do off season and throughout the year. And it becomes kind of a group of people that really grows to love each other and care about each other. And it's become named the Fear family, I think, because of that. It's just the culture that we've tried to build within the team. And, it's just a lot of fun. Last weekend, we were just up with our leadership team doing a high ropes course up in the top of Big Cottonwood Canyon, climbing on these ropes 40 or 50 feet across the sky and doing these team building exercises. And it was such a blast. And we had about 40 of our leaders up there. And at first, some of them were like, oh, it's a Saturday, I could be doing other things. But by the end of it, every one of them just had a blast and couldn't wait till next year when they can go back. So
that's really cool. That is really cool. So let's see here. Trying to look at some other questions I have. This is great because we're getting things answered as we're talking. I was going to say, it's clear that when you saw this building, you had to have it. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It was
And
better than anything anywhere. I mean, I think it's better than the old mill, actually. It's got more character and more diversity than the old mill.
so were you guys able to pull the trigger and acquire it pretty quickly once you identified it?
Yes, we did. The gentleman who had owned it prior to us had been trying to sell it for quite a while and had no interest, no takers. And I think the big problem is um, nobody wanted this big cement factory that's outdated and old and gross and big. And but the land is in a cool spot, and some people, but they, to get rid of what was on it would have been a big expense, and to turn it into just raw land. So for us, we were looking for something that would lend to a haunted house, and something that looked really old and scary and creepy. And in doing that, that was a challenge, because we also had to bring it then up to code and safety regulations that the city required and the fire department required, and all those things. We had to get this old building that was 100 plus years old up to all those safety standards, which we did. And it was an amazing feat. That was something that was, it was rough that first year, trying to get through all our permitting and all of our um, occupancy stuff was a challenge. And anybody who was around and tried to come that first year will remember, I'm sure. And please forget it, but come back and see it now. It's changed a lot.
Okay, so this is great. I mean, I love this. I love the fact that you guys were Halloween lovers first. Sometimes people jump into a business because it's something that, there's an opportunity. But
Mm-hmm.
this was something that started off here, and then you guys decided, let's make it happen. And then it just started to evolve around you. Is that
Mm-hmm.
fair to say?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, um, once we committed and knew we were going to do it, we jumped in, all of us with both feet, and pretty soon our wives and other people saw how big this was going to be and what we were trying to accomplish, and the snowball just started growing. And really, like I said, the team that we have put together today is amazing, and it's gone from a lot of amateurs and people learning to now we have an internship that teaches makeup artists that are interested in special effects makeup to come there, and they spend a summer at Fear Factory and learn how to do special effects makeup. And then out of those interns, several are selected to then join the team of makeup artists. We now have a lot more makeup artists here in Salt Lake, because this isn't Hollywood. Like you said, we don't have a bunch of makeup artists that just do movie set stuff that we can hire to do it. We had to actually train and teach these people and get people qualified to train and teach. It wasn't me, but our lead makeup artist then built this team and this internship program that now we have lots of makeup artists here in Salt Lake, and many that are still with us that have been through the program and have come back, or others have moved on and used their skills at other haunted houses around the country. There's been lots of them. I went to Louisiana last year for a legendary haunt tour. And while we were there, we met up with one of our old makeup artists who is in Louisiana at a haunted house doing makeup and stuff there. And it was great. So there's really been a lot
That's
of
amazing.
growth and opportunity within Fear Factor. We've tried to, um, I guess, make it learning experience for a lot of people if it's their first job, and also a fun experience for people that need an outlet or want to do something fun and different. But you know, this is a good way to get out, and we have a lot of actual like adults that come and act with their teenager, like their or their their 20-year-old daughter or something, and they love it. It's at first the daughters are usually wanting to come, and then they end up dragging a parent along, and the parent ends up never wanting to leave after that. So it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Before you know it, you're going to have families coming in saying, "Hey, we all want to work here," right? That's pretty cool. I love it.
I was just going to say we actually do have a lot of families that come together, and and we have groups that do like carpooling, picking up other people that need rides and stuff like that. It's that whole kind of culture of the family, even if they're just the fear family.
Yeah, I was going to say it's almost like it's kind of like a community almost that gets together
Yeah,
and they support each other and they get excited about it. That's really cool.
yeah,
You can't get
yeah.
that in a normal job, so that's really cool. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I agree. It's hard to, after that ropes course thing last weekend, one of the guy at the end, the one guy that was saying, how much he enjoyed it, and it surprised him how much he enjoyed it. He said, "And I've never had another job ever that does something like this. And I've also never had another job that I know all 40 other people in the leadership team's names and know about them and want to care about them." And then we were like, well, good, then this is working.
That's perfect. That's really cool. Yeah, so you're seeing success from the staffing all the way down to, what your customers are enjoying too. And we'll get into that in a minute. But that's one of the toughest things is having your team, really fired up to do it because that translates into what people experience. And it sounds like your employees and those that are working with you are really excited and they have the right atmosphere around them to do it. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. If they're having fun doing it, then the customers are going to have a lot of fun being there. So that's that's the plan.
Yeah, I agree. Let me ask you. So we're going to get into some of the things that you guys do. You started to talk about the makeup artistry and stuff like that. We'll get into that in a couple of minutes because I know there's a number of things that I saw on your website that you guys do, is really cool, and I suggest that people take a look at that. But before we get to that and get kind of caught up in there, I want to ask you. There's a history about that place that's very interesting. And I'm wondering, are you aware of any stories, any haunting type things that you can share with the listeners about that location?
I Yes, there's paranormal investigations that are held monthly through the off season when the haunted house is not running, but um, they're they say it's a hot spot of paranormal activity. This group that leads the paranormal investigations goes to different places all over the valley, from um, I don't even Capitol Theater to up at the university. There's some buildings, and there's a couple, I don't know, a bunch of different places. And Fear Factory is one of their places. They hold these paranormal investigations, and they say it's one of the most active sites that they get activity. Now, I work there, and working there alone at night when there's only a few other people, it's way creepier and scarier than when the haunted house is on for me, because you always hear funny noises. They're big buildings, big metal buildings and cement, and you hear things happening and you don't know. Sometimes I've had a lot of things where I've left a room and come back and the lights are off and I didn't turn them off, and I don't know how they went off because there was nobody else in there, but things like that. And I have been shown photographs from ghost hunters, and they showed me a picture of the people on the ground that were doing the ghost hunt. And then the person was standing a ways away and taking this photograph of the group. And up on a wall about 40 feet high, there's a person sitting up on the top of the wall, and there's no way to get up there. And you can see in this photograph, it looks as if a man with a hat is sitting over there watching over this group. And I can't explain it. They came to me to say, how did this person get up there? Why were they up there watching us? And I said, there is no way to get up there unless you had a 40-foot ladder going up the side of the wall here. So yeah, the image that you see, it was very chilling, put it that way. I couldn't explain it.
Wow.
And there's a lot of
That's crazy.
A lot of things like that, photographs and things that have images. They sense different temperature changes and stuff when they're there doing ghost hunts, and I'll invite you to come and spend the night with them and see what you find.
Right? I know. I think I'd be scared.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, that's the best thing is this isn't just a warehouse that has some props, right? And that's what people need to realize. Like, there is definitely something there.
Yeah.
And so that coupled with all the work and the themes and stuff, that's exciting. People are going to experience something different and deeper, right? Don't you think?
Yeah. Have you been on our website? You can read actual like obituaries and stories from old newspaper articles. We found them at the University of Utah archives, and they're old people who met their demise at the factory, whether it was a factory accident or a train accident, or there was a guy who was loading cement, and as he left, his wagon rolled and crushed him. So there was a lot of different deaths, and you can read about the history of the factory and people who worked there, and some were electrocuted, some got pulled into machines. One guy, his sleeve of his clothing got pulled into a grinder, and he ended up tearing his arm off and bleeding out on right there. And curiously, the spot where that supposedly took place is one of the areas the paranormal investigators say they have a lot of activity.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's a great point. People, you really want to be immersed, spend some time on the website and study or look up, some of those details. It'll really get you, it'll give you the chills before you even get there. And I think that's cool. Yeah. Well, that's cool. The reason why I asked that question is because when I was on the website and somewhere else too, and I saw some of the history, I thought to myself, this is truly it's got a background that's really kind of eerie.
Oh yeah. And like you said, read up on it, because it does make it a lot creepier when you come there, knowing the history.
Yeah, exactly. So, am I right that you guys have like about 6 buildings, multiple floors? I know you have multiple floors. Do you have tunnels too?
Yes, you actually, when you get there, and at the very beginning, you wait outside while you're queuing up to go in, and when you get there, at the very front, the first thing you do is go down some stairs and go underground. And that puts you into our first underground passageway, and it's a long tunnel. You're clear out by the parking lot at that point, but you end up back all the way at where the tower is. And you do that all underground through a tunnel. And then you come up the tower, you go all the way up all the stories of the tower to the top. You go across the catwalk, which is creepy. A lot of people, if you're afraid of heights, that will test your fear of heights for sure. You'll walk above the floor. It's just an open graded floor, so you can see straight to the ground about 70 feet below you. And you see some of the haunted house going on down below as you're walking across the ceiling of the main big building. But yeah, then there's 6 buildings. You end up going through all of them. You pass through outdoor areas that are parts of the haunted house. Sometimes you don't know if you're outside or inside. We have rooms that make you feel like you're in an outdoor camping cabin area, and there's a moon and sky and stars. That's actually that section is inside. It has a roof and a ceiling over it, and a lot of people don't even realize that. And then there's other areas where you're outside. We have a chain link maze, and there's guys with chainsaws coming after you. And a lot of people don't realize they just came out of one building and went through this chain link maze, and they were outside for 10 minutes and didn't realize it. And then they go back into the building on the other side and hit 3 more before they go out. So it's quite an extensive thing. We used to have some slides. I don't know if you remember in the beginning, you'd go up the outside of the silos, these big round cement buildings. They had stairs on the outside. You'd get up to the top, and then you'd enter a slide and ride down into the inside of the silo through a tubular slide. And those were a lot of fun. But as we grew and as more and more people came, it became a real choke point for our haunted house and a real slowdown. And that became hard. It really made it impossible on busy nights to run those slides. And unfortunately, so that's something that we can't do right now. Maybe in the future we'll have some feature that brings them back. I'm not sure, but yeah, they're still there. There's still relics that we've changed.
Wow. That's cool.
Sections that you maybe remember from the first year or two, and they may still be there, but you don't see them or don't know they're there still as you go through. And a lot of I guess directional lighting and things like that help you to kind of keep people's focus where you want it. And that's all part of the art of the haunted house, is going from light to dark and changing the eyes, let the pupils dilate, and then hit them with a bright thing they can't see very well. All those things are little ways to affect the fear senses, from touch to smell to sound to all those things. We try and get those things involved. I'll tell you, one of our coolest things is lately we've added big things that move, like you're in a room and the entire room feels like it shifts like an earthquake. Things that give a big sensation tend to have a large impact on people, you know. So a couple of those things, or if you're walking across a floor and then the floor tips like it's going to fall or something, just things that kind of, not only do you hear it, but you feel it and you can sense it on every level. And those are the ones that people remember after they come out screaming and just go, oh man, do you believe that just happened?
Yeah. I love it. I mean, there's so many different things to remember when you go through it. And to me, because I am afraid of heights, like when you talked about that a few minutes ago with just, you know, how you can see down as you're walking, that's freaky for me. It definitely is the scary part for me, among other things. You know, I was just like, just the height itself.
I don't like heights. And we've had a fear fall that you can jump off that bridge. You're harnessed in and you jump off and free fall, and it stops you right before you hit the ground. And a lot of people love it and do it. You wouldn't catch me up there jumping off that. I don't like. I'll do the catwalk across like you, but I'm not going to jump off the bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, let's shift gears just a little bit. I want to talk a minute about, you know, because all the amazing things that you guys have there and how big that structure is. For those people who just think of like the inner workings of something like this, like what approach did you use to consider safety for both the guests and your staff? Because like you were saying, your staff were able to go in and out and do some different things. And then you have kind of for the people walking through it, it's almost like sometimes you don't know whether you're inside, outside, and so on. So what sorts of things did you consider when you were looking at the safety for those things?
Oh, wow. Well, obviously work with the city and follow all their regulations of code in terms of walkways and spacing and stuff like that. There's a lot of regulations and things that we had to follow and comply with, one of which, the stair height, the tread height of our stairs. You go up that tower and it's like 5 stories up, you go across and then back down. And this, because it was an old cement factory, the stair heights were about 1/4 of an inch lower than what our standard stair height was. And we actually, before we opened that first season, we had to disassemble the entire tower and those other stairways and reconfigure those and re-weld all those stairways to change each stair tread 1/4 inch higher. And it was a huge undertaking, but it was one of the things the city said we had to do if we wanted to open to the public. And so we were already full in and going for it. And so that's what we did. But fire regulations, all those buildings have sprinkler systems and fire, from smoke detectors to laser beam detectors to all kinds of different systems for detecting any type of fire or anything like that. And then I would say the very best and number one thing that we do is the training of our teams and our actors and our leaders in there. Every one of them goes through a safety training course, and they have to comply, basically pass off this safety training, and then they teach that to all of their little individual teams. And like you said, there's a lot of ins and outs through the haunted house. There's secret passage doorways that can get you outside of a building quickly, or even just out of the way of the flow of the customers. And all of our actors are always watching for signs if a customer is in distress or is injured or needs attention or anything like that. They're trained to watch for those things and then be able to immediately assist that person and get them the help they need or whatever we need. We have a lot of people within there, even actors in costumes, that have radios, and they're able to call. We have staff on every night from EMTs to safety team and police officers.
I know that as I've gone through the attraction before, I knew the attention to so many things was there. And I watched and I could see that there was also an attention placed for safety and stuff like that. And so I think that's good for people to know that not only are you going to have a good time, but all things have been considered, as you guys have built not only a very nice and exciting and scary attraction, but a safe one too. And so that's awesome. I mean, that is awesome that you guys have done some of that.
Yeah. Oh, I would say safety for our own staff and for the customers is our number one priority, really. And then fun is the next thing. Having fun. They have to leave having fun.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this question. Okay, so with a structure like that, which is just creepy in itself, when you guys were considering how to make this even scarier, but also consider the different age groups of people that are going through, so that, there had to be balance, right? Like it couldn't just be one way. You want it to be fun and exciting for all groups. Was this a consideration by just the founders, like you and your partners, or did you have team members that also contributed? And was it a process over years to kind of fine tune that? How did you guys approach that?
Yeah, I think it's been a process over the years. I think we originally thought of ourselves as an extreme haunted house. We branded ourselves as an extreme haunted house. And over a little bit of time, and we kind of realized that might eliminate a lot of people that want to attend a haunted house, but they don't want it to be like, and what is extreme, that's all depends on the person, right? But we found that we wanted to be a place where families could come, teenagers could come, It is. It can be scary for kids. We don't set a limit on ages for people to attend, but I recommend most parents, what they ask, that teenagers and up. And then some people have kids that love Halloween or are used to scary things and play with stuff like that at home and are fine with it. And if the parents want to and the kid wants to, then I think it's fine. But I don't like it if people are trying to bring their kid and the kid doesn't want to. I think you need to wait till the kid understands a little bit more between fantasy and reality and can understand before you traumatize them and need to put them in therapy or something for scaring them too much.
Yeah. Because I've come up with family members and different ages and stuff like that. Not little ones, but and everybody's enjoyed it. So like it was really a good thing. And there's another attraction in Utah where they grab you, and take you away. And I personally didn't. I've never done that one because I don't feel like doing that. So I like the fact that there isn't anything strange and extreme like that could cause some people not to be interested. It is definitely a full family, event or attraction that really caters to a lot of different things that people like. Because in my family, some are like people popping out, and I like just the decor, and I like to really look at just the atmosphere of it. And we can all get that as we go to Fear Factory. It's cool.
Right, right. The other thing is, we haven't talked about this yet, but I think it's probably going to be one of your questions coming up, is all the different variety of things you can do when you're there besides go to the haunted house. A lot of parents will come there and will drop their kids and let them go inside, and then they just hang out outside and take photographs. And we have these selfie stations. They're actual scenes that you can go and step into the scene with your friends and get selfie pictures of you being attacked by zombies, or there's all these different bays where you can go and do these selfie stations, and those are all free, and anybody can come in and do those before they go into the haunted house or after when they're coming out. We have food trucks, we have concessions, we have live entertainment. We often have we have special magicians that actually are entertaining people while they're standing in line or waiting to buy tickets or whatever, that just keep the energy up. And there's always something to be watching and entertained by.
Yeah.
And then also we added last year, it's called the Lurid Lounge. And this is a little non-alcoholic mocktail bar where we have specialty drinks that you can come in and get your electric cherry, which is a drink. Well, each one is themed after a different area or a different room in the haunted house, like the electric chair, or we have one that's the farm zone, and it has this chai drink that's all looks like mud and worms and stuff in it. And I don't know, it's really fun and entertaining again. And you can come and get your picture there. Again, inside there's all these selfie spots and fun things, and you get your cool drink and get your pictures with it. The kids love to market for us. That's what we have realized is in this day and age with cell phones and social media, if you make really cool things that they want to get a picture in front of, they're going to send it out to all their friends and show everybody where they are and how much fun they're having. So we try to capitalize on that and really let people know that, stick around and have fun and hang out before, come down. We have zombie buses. There's parking around Fear Factory, and a lot of people you can park on the streets around Fear Factory as well. But we also have 2 shuttle buses that go back and forth from the gateway to Fear Factory all night long. Every 30 minutes, they're picking up and dropping off, and you can park, eat dinner at the gateway, and then ride the zombie bus, do the haunted house, ride it back, and go home from there. So there's tons of parking that way as well. That's a really cool experience that a lot of people don't even know about. And it's a fun ride. It adds to a date night, to get to ride the zombie bus. And sometimes there's even characters or monsters that ride. Our bus drivers sometimes are dressed up in some makeup and stuff. It's fun. they love it, and they love just being a part of shuttling people and hearing everybody's fun that they're having as they bring them back and forth. And so I would highly
I
recommend
love
that.
it.
If you have a date night, park at the Gateway, do dinner, and then come over, or just come over and you can do food trucks and eat and drink. And there's plenty of food at Fear Factory too. And then do the haunted house. There's all kinds of fun stuff. At the end, there's fun merch. There's all kinds of cool T-shirts and hats and hoodies and
Yeah.
keychains and fun little memorabilia. And we've actually created some Fear Factory monsters that are unique to just Fear Factory. And some of our merch now is featuring those characters. So it's kind of a unique thing we're experimenting with, and putting our characters as new monsters out there for the
Yeah.
world.
I love it. And look, so you've just rattled off several things which I think are great. And I think the important thing, at least the takeaway for me, is a lot of times people don't think about the attraction they're going to. They just show up with their friends laughing and talking, get in line, and they go through it. And you can do that. But
Yeah.
spend a few minutes on your website and see all these different things that can be done. And like you were suggesting, hey, if you're on a date, there's other things you can do and make a whole evening out of it. And I think that's smart, because really, this is an activity that really people can make a whole night, maybe even go back several times, really, because
Oh, yeah.
there's so many different things you can do. Now, I'm going to take a minute and just run down my list of bullet points that I'm aware of, and you've already covered some of these, but just for those people listening, just to recap several things that you can do. There's zombie buses, zip lines still, right? And then there is
Actually,
fear fall.
the the zip line and Fear Fall have been on hold because of COVID. We stopped doing them, and
Okay.
we haven't brought them back yet because we're worried about the choke point thing. But they probably will come back again in certain featured events. So yes, they're still a part of Fear Factory,
Yeah.
but this fall not in operation.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and then you mentioned and you talked about the makeup fear, the FX internship. I think that's unique and amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you guys had season passes. I did know about the Fear Factory gear. And then thanks for taking a few minutes to talk about the Lurid Lounge, because I didn't even know that that was there. And that's pretty cool that you guys have that. One other thing, too, is also I read that you guys have a private meeting room space for birthdays, events, and things like that. Is that still true? Is that open?
Yes, we do. You can reserve ahead if you need to. Reach out on our website and you can reserve it ahead. It's kind of a small little like party room where you could gather with your group of however many people and either have a meeting place there or a little party room before you go through or something like that. But yes, that's something we can do as
That's
well.
exciting. Yeah, I mean, like, who wouldn't want to do something in that environment, right? Like, if you're really, especially if you have something right around that time of the year, who wouldn't want to do that there? I mean, that's so cool. I love that. That is
Oh
really
yeah. Yeah.
cool. Trying to think what else here.
The ghost hunts and paranormal investigations throughout this. We have the paranormal investigations about 9 months of the year. Well, it's actually more like six, probably from like February till about now. They do the paranormal investigations. And then when the season starts, Fear Factory Haunted House is closed Monday nights in October, but the ghost hunt people, they come and they do Monday night story night at Fear Factory. And this is something really cool that most people don't even know about. But you can come there and they take small groups of people. You may be if you came in a date or something, you may be grouped with others, but they'll take about 12 to 15 people in a small group, and a storyteller takes you through sections of the haunted house, and they'll stop and they'll tell the story of what happened to the actual factory workers that died there. So this is more of like a historical event of the factory and learning, and it's hearing these ghosts, these eerie stories of the actual deaths of factory workers as you're in the spots as you walk through. And it's about the same, about a 45-minute to an hour walk through. They stop at like 5 or 6 different sites and tell the story of what happened, and it's really different. If you're into that kind of thing, it's cool, and it's totally different than the haunted house. A lot of people show up on Monday nights thinking they're going to the haunted house, and we tell them, no, it's story night tonight. Come back tomorrow if you're here for the haunted house. But a lot of people are catching on to that new story night on Monday nights, and it's becoming a kind of a cool, popular thing.
I love it. This is really... I can't wait to go again. You know what I mean? You've because after looking at it and talking with you, there are things that I wasn't even really aware of, and I've been to your attraction many times, but I'm like, really? They do that? That's so cool.
Yeah. Did you go through last year?
No, I was actually out of town around most of October last year, so I missed out on a lot of things.
Did you hear about the foundation in the basement breaking open last year? Last year, the foundation of the tower, the big tower down in the basement, it used to be what we called our torture chamber. But between seasons, one of the walls cracked open, and we found out that there's stuff down there that nobody even knew about. You've got to come back this year and see what was found in the basement of the tower.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Everybody else that went last year saw it, but you haven't been yet last year, so you've got to come see. The factory came alive. Come see what I'm talking about.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. No doubt about it. I'm going to put it on the calendar.
All right.
Exciting. Try to think as we get to the end of the hour here. I wanted to see, is there anything that people can look for in future years? Like, it sounds like it's a constant effort of fine tuning. So maybe you're not aware till maybe November what you're going to change. But is there any long-term or long-range things that you're thinking, I think I might want to try this in 2 years or something? Anything like that going on?
Always. Yes.
Yeah.
We have our short-term, immediate changes and plans, and we kind of do have we try to have a long-term, and there's already talk. I think you just heard about the 2034 Olympics coming to Salt Lake City. Well, I'd say if Fear Factory will be doing something special for that, I'm sure. And before then, there'll be lots of fun changes and upgrades, always. But we figured if the world's going to be coming to Salt Lake City for the Olympics, there's already the #1 haunted house in the world right here, so we might as well show it off.
Yeah, I agree totally. Yeah. Well, as we get ready to wrap up here, I wanted to just give you a few minutes to just share anything you want. Like, I know that your attraction is head and shoulders above other things. I don't know if there's something you want to share and say, this is why Fear Factory is at the top of the list, and then share anything else you would like with the audience. Please feel free to do that now.
Okay. Well, we have been ranked in the top 10 in the nation every year for the past several years. This last year, an organization called Scare Factor, which goes around the country, and I think they even go outside of the country, and rate haunted houses all over. And after last season, we got the results sent to us from that, and we were very surprised to be ranked #1 in Utah, and we were ecstatic to be ranked even in the top of Utah, because there's some other great haunted houses. And Then the national article came out from Scare Factor, and Fear Factory was ranked #1 in the nation last year. So that's something that hasn't even really been told to the world yet, because it came out after the season was over last year. But that's brand new news that we're going to be breaking and telling and want people to know. Scare Factor ranked Fear Factory #1 haunted house in the nation last year. So that's something we're really proud of and honored to be recognized, and honored to be a part of the top haunted houses of the country. There are some amazing haunted houses. We go all over the world seeing them, and there's some that we hope to be like someday, and we hope that they want to come and see us someday. There's a lot of back scratching and learning from each other in the industry, and it's kind of a cool thing. Besides that, I would like to say, without the team and the family members, our immediate family that started this, and all the support of our wives and children that have been a big part in the initial startup, and now to the extended family of the Fear family. Without them, this operation would not be what it is. It's amazing what these people have created and what a team they are, from the makeup artists to the actors to our ticket sales, to our managers and leaders and supervisors. It's truly is a fun place to work that we just love being there. It's not really work if you're having so much fun, right?
That's true. Well, listen, I think you guys have built something really special there. Without knowing all these details and having had the opportunity to talk with you and just learn about these things and get an inside picture from like the origin of how it started to how you guys run it, to the way you run how you have your staff participate and things like this. It sounds like you've built something amazing here. So I want to just say to everybody out there, make sure you put this one on your list. If you're in the Salt Lake area or anywhere in Utah, come on up. This is a great opportunity to see something you're not going to see anywhere else. Once again, #1. And so remember, Fear Factory, put it on your calendar and enjoy one of the best haunts and attractions I personally have ever seen. So, thank you very much, Rob, for the time that you've spent here to kind of share with us a little bit about Fear Factory. I'm excited. It's coming soon. And I'm going to try to catch you when I'm out there.
Absolutely. We appreciate you taking the time for the interview, and I'll be looking for you. I'll be watching.
For sure. Well, awesome. As we wrap up today, I just want to just end by telling everybody and reminding everybody that there's a lot of strange and unexpected in our reality. So keep your eyes, ears, and minds open to all that's out there. And until next time, stay safe.
Thank you for listening to High Strangeness. This was a glance at some of the strange that exists in our reality.